What do you do when your stepchild grabs the limelight and takes your partner away from you when they're around? Subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell, and I'll let you know every time I post. Your partner doesn't see the issue. In fact, often turns to you and says, "Why can't you cope with this better? This is my child. They're my priority when they are around. Can you not be the adult in this situation and take the back seat?" Sometimes literally. What can you do when your partner is behaving like this and your stepchild is becoming like the mini partner of your partner? It's also one of the key differences between a traditional family and a step family. Because in a traditional family, a mother and father have established themselves as a partnership, and the children fit in to that family sequencing. So the children don't question the two adults, their parents. They just conform and fit in. But when you come along later, the child will have had experiences of you not being around. So therefore, you then come to displace them a little bit more. And that creates a conflict. This kind of thing brings up very uncomfortable emotions for you, the step parent. The moment the parent indulges the child and the child has a special relationship with their parent and you get excluded, emotions well up in you that are indescribable. Now, what to do? One of the first things is to be kind to yourself and acknowledge that you are experiencing these feelings. Best, if possible, not to address these feelings while they're happening. Just be aware of what you're feeling and how difficult it all is. And for the time being, for the moments it's happening, whether it be for a few minutes or a few hours, put up with it as best you can and cope and get through it without saying anything. Because if you do rise and respond to your emotions in the moment, you will be seen as going into conflict with the child. And then people will say, "Well, surely you're the adult. You're not going to fight with the child about who's going to sit next to me. How come you're going to make such big thing out of something so petty?" or something like that. So the best thing is to deal with it away from the situation and bite your lip while it's going on. Just recognize how you're feeling. Then, what are your next options? Well, your next options are to plan for when it's going to happen again. Now, things always in families happen again. If they happen once, they repeat themselves. So you've got a chance after it's happened to think about how you would like to cope with it next time. Now, that might mean a number of things. It could mean you could talk to your partner and explain how it happened, how you feel, how it's not necessary to happen like that, and how it could happen differently, so both you and the child establish a better sort of arrangement with whatever is going on. You do have a chance to plan so that the situation doesn't happen again in the way it did last time. So some things you can do things about and plan for, and those things you can change. Or there may be other things that are annoying you that you can organise in a different way. And I always think that as a step-parent, that is one of the key strategies, to think calmly away from the situation, what could be done differently, and plan for it to be done differently in the future. And that may mean announcing things, like saying that you won't be going to such and such, or organising for different transport arrangements or times or whatever. It gives you the chance to plan ahead. You might have to put up with it once or twice, but after you've planned and instigated a new way of doing something, that is one of the most powerful things that you as a step-parent have in your repertoire to change things. Now, the next thing I'd say is this, is not to be beaten by it. Supposing, let's take the example of the child sitting in the front of the car and you sitting in the back of the car. The challenge is this. I would say, why don't you make it a bonus to sit in the back of the car for some reason? So in fact, the child thinks, oh, I'd quite like to sit in the back of the car. I don't know what you do. And maybe you sort of, you sit in the back seat and you've got your, your iPad and you can do your own stuff, or you can listen to your own music or have your own picnic in the back. Make it desirable to be in the back of the car. And so you sort of, you turn it on its head and pretend, or even really make it better the way it is with you doing what you're doing, and you didn't want to be in the front of the car anyway. I mean, it's kind of tongue-in-cheek, because you need to be in the front of the car as partner to your partner, and the child should really be in the back. But it's a thought. It's a way of challenging it and not being defeated by it. And the other thing, sort of tongue-in-cheek, is when you next go on a journey and you do the driving, and actually you suggesting you do the driving might be a way of solving the problem. So your husband or your partner isn't doing the driving. Where's the child going to sit now? Is your partner going to sit in the back with your stepchild sitting beside you? So you suggesting you do the driving is another option, but also, tongue-in-cheek, next time you are not in the driving seat and your stepchild is travelling with you, suggest the stepchild sits with you and put your partner in the back. Say, it's your turn to go in the back now, and see how they feel about it. It depends if you can get away with that one. But it's that sort of thing, to challenge it and not be defeated by it, and to sort of be robust about it and not sort of give in to being made to feel worse about it. Get them to see the funny side of it, and get them to see the error of their ways in some way. Another way of addressing this kind of situation can be to use time. If you want to change things starting from tomorrow, there may be some resistance. But if you project things forward to a set time a long way in the future, people often agree to stuff that's a long way off, and they think, oh yeah, by the time we get there, I'll be fine with this. Because you'll be at senior school, or because you'll be taking the bus to school, or because you'll be that much older. Now, listen, I'm with you on this. You'd like to sort this out right now. I completely agree with you. But if you get an agreement for some time in the future, that sometime in the future will come. And you can make reference to it as that time comes. The thing is that what you're trying to solve here is it's a relatively short-term problem. And what you're wanting to do is to get to the long term. And in order to transition from where you are now to the long term, various changes need to be made. And children will be very resistant to change because they want things to remain the way they are. And if they have a little bit of a sort of privilege with their parent, they kind of hang on to that. And what you need to do is to gradually work on change and plan those changes, wait for the opportunities to present themselves, make the changes, and gradually, change happens. And then, in a few months, you can completely change a lot of the stuff that is aggravating you so much that you don't think you can stand it now. And what you need to do is acknowledge that in yourself. It is difficult, it is tough, but know that this is not forever. And if you want your relationship forever, it can be worth putting up and managing and organising these small changes to take place so things gradually get better, so you can get to that long-term relationship in the future. Luckily, all children grow up, and you just need to make the most of those growing up stages to get things more your way each time. And each time you get a change, you can give yourself a little ka-ching. You've got a little further with getting things more manageable for you. We run workshops, sessions, an email response service, and we write booklets. Look at the description box below for links to our social media and website. Hi, thanks for joining me today. Are you being accused of being jealous of your stepchild?